Hello, beautiful people of the internet. Welcome back to the Games and Culture channel. We won't call this a podcast, or we can call it a podcast. I don't really care. If it
No,
if
our
podcast is
schedule's
in,
got
yeah,
good.
I said if podcast is in the title when you see this on YouTube, then it's episode 44. I'm pretty sure.
I was gonna say like our schedule's been messed up, so we're just gonna make this like a special for the recap. And I think should just make the upcoming game of the year video podcast number 44.
Yeah, that works for me. So, this is the second part of our three-part 2025 wrap-up video. A little later than we both wanted, but as Nick said, we've had some scheduling issues, some personal stuff going on, but we're here, wrapping up the year, still sooner than we did last year. So
Improvement.
improvement. Um, and so this video we like to take some time and just reflect on the news stories that kind of we reported on throughout the year, the few major ones that I think will continue to impact us as we move through 2026 and probably even beyond, with some of the stuff that happened this year. So this is our time to do so. We will wrap up the 2025 wrap up series in our next video, which is our game of the year video, which is always our favorite video to do. Um, a lot of our top nominees will probably not be a surprise to you if you have watched consistent episodes of this channel.
Yeah, I also I think like last year we didn't have a great idea. Well, I kind of knew what yours was gonna be, but you were sure what mine was gonna be. This year we kind of have a good idea what each other's game of the year is. We know it's the
Yeah.
same, but they're fairly close.
I feel as though the top like three are probably pretty locked in, and I think we have them in some different positions. But everything past that, I think that's what I'm most excited for because it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
what else did you get to playing? I know, like Death Stranding 2 was big for you. I played Pokemon and some other indies, so it'll be interesting. It'll be a good video. But
Excited.
let's talk about some depressing shit first.
Because last year, besides the games, last year was shit.
Yes, 2025 was another hard year for the video game industry. Um,
Just the world at large.
just the world at large, yeah. But we're here to mostly talk about the video game industry. We will be getting into some other stuff that affects the gaming industry throughout this video, but it is mostly about the video game industry. And it wouldn't be a games and culture channel video if we didn't talk about layoffs. Because unfortunately, the one of the predominant things that we have reported on in our short time on YouTube has been layoffs. This 2025 was better than 2024 in terms of layoffs, but not much.
It was about half, from what I heard. It was half of what 2024's was, but even the half of 2024's is still a lot.
Well, I think the final total actually ended up being very, very close.
Oh, that's bad.
I've seen conflicting reports of anywhere between 7,500 and 9,700 layoffs. And I think 2024 was just shy of 10,000. Um, so still very, very terrible. Most notably, I think the biggest companies that did layoffs this year were Microsoft. We still actually don't know how many video game personnel were a part of that Microsoft culling. Ubisoft closed multiple studios over the course of the year amidst their ongoing extremely bad financial situation. And then Amazon also did a huge round of layoffs that affected their whole company, but also in the video gaming division. But I want to pull this part out just a little bit, um, and widen the scope a little bit from 2022 to through 2025. 45,000 video game jobs have been laid off.
Jesus.
Um, I am looking at a Wikipedia article that is tracking these kind of things. And the reason being is everything that you expect: rising development costs, consumer shifts, post-pandemic response slowdown, um, mergers and acquisitions, just wild. Just wild. And unfortunately, I believe this is going to continue to be an issue in the video game industry. I read a report um just the other day that 1/3 of video game industry workers were laid off in 2025. A third of our talent here in the United States has been laid off this year. That is crazy.
I mean, it's just it ultimately it boils down to because there are some. Well, you said in the United States alone. I mean, most of the United
Yeah.
States studios would be under Microsoft, EA, Amazon, and Take Two. I mean, none of those were in dire straits. So yeah, no,
Yes.
that in the U.S. alone, that's unjustified.
Yeah.
But it's just pure unadulterated greed. Um,
Yes.
I mean, by the end of the episode, but this recap will there'll be a silver lining to all this, but we'll get to that and then at the end. But it's still, people going through it while it's still awful.
Yeah, and not all these studios were like failing studios or anything like that. Ubisoft closed. Ubisoft Montpellier, that did the excellent Prince of Persia, like Metroidvania. It didn't sell gangbusters. It was never going to sell gangbusters. I still think it sold like a healthy like million or like 2 million, maybe even higher. But because it wasn't Assassin's Creed numbers, which it never was going to be, they shuttered the studio without giving them a chance to really uh you know repeat the success. I mean, Microsoft especially, fuck them. Like, I and hit my camera there. Not only did Microsoft lay off their own people, but because of marketing deals and things that they had gotten into with other companies were severely affected by the the layoffs. Crystal Dynamics had to lay off less than 100 people after they canceled Perfect Dark. So not only
Mm-hmm.
did they purge an entire Microsoft development studio, but then the studio that was aiding them also took a hit. Um,
Which I
uh,
don't understand. All Microsoft's, you buy all these studios to not have them make games. Like, what's the point of this?
I mean, eh, I think this is, I think my biggest thing is, and I'm sure we'll talk about this during multiple parts of this video, the rising cost of AAA game development. That Perfect Dark game, I think, is a perfect example. I'm sure the budget ballooned, and it ballooned to a point where they knew that they were never going to recoup that. Because even if Perfect Dark came out and was like a solid 8 to 9 to even 10 out of 10, Perfect Dark is not a household name.
No.
It is a legacy franchise from a bygone era that you're attempting to reboot in the modern age, and that's just not how it works.
No, and especially considering it being on Microsoft, so it's going to go into the Game Pass grinder, which would make it even harder for it to try and recoup anything.
Yeah. And so, I mean, on the one hand, I kind of agree with Microsoft that, yeah, but this probably has gone on too far. We probably should have canceled it way earlier on in its development. But I think there becomes a certain point where like you just have to put it out, and under no circumstances does laying off people to recoup your losses off because of mismanagement, under no circumstances is that right.
Well, I think the keyword there is mismanagement because I mean every time this happens, it's they're the only places doing this. All these budgets are ballooning,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just why there's no need for them to balloon so much, and it's down to just blatant mismanagement.
Yeah, I mean, because as we've seen multiple times in the video game industry, people that have made games that without crunch or that have alternate funding means. I mean, my mind goes back to Baldur's Gate 3. Larian Studios took 4 years to make that game. It was crowdfunded. They, by all accounts, it was a very pleasurable dev cycle. That was well managed to get the game out. And to get the game out without a publisher, without without people putting more weight on them than they deserved. And it was, and don't get me wrong, like don't get it wrong, like D&D is a major franchise. Like they were working with a franchise that carries weight, um and still was able to put out one of the best games of all time, definitely the
Yeah,
greatest CRPG of all time, but just one of the greatest games of all time.
and that story repeated itself into another story we'll talk about more later. Um, but yeah, I mean, it just baffles again. This isn't the only places it's happened. It's
Mhm.
happened at Sony. It's happened at EA. It's happened at Take Two. Just all these budgets ballooning, and it's just very. It's baffling where this money is going and why it's ballooning so much.
I
Because the only answer is mismanagement. Because it's just
Well,
too many cooks in the
I
kitchen.
I don't think it's only mismanagement that's ballooning the budgets. Video games are the highest grossing entertainment avenue there is. Video games makes more than books, movies, and TV and music all combined. Video games beats them. So there is a lot of pressure to make the biggest and greatest games at these major studios. But again, it does. You're I so I do think that there was always going to be a ballooning of budgets. But what's making it worse is just this mismanagement epidemic. Like you have to have leaders that are willing to say no to things, you know? Like he I'm going to call out one of my favorite games of all time, one of my favorite properties from one of my favorite studios, Spider-Man 2. Reportedly cost $300 million to make. The game is wonderful, voice acting wonderful, visuals wonderful, gameplay second to none. It's fantastic. Do I think it's over bloated? Absolutely. Do I think that it should have cost $300 million? Absolutely not. Like the wingsuit stuff was not needed.
No, I didn't. No, it wasn't.
At the end of the day, no, it wasn't. Was it fun? Absolutely. Was am Do I think the game is better for its inclusion? No. I definitely think it's more fun with its inclusion, but it's not better because of its inclusion. So somebody sat in that meeting and said, the web wing things, we got to use those. We got to use those. We need to give players a second way to get around New York. Let's use the web wing thing. And somebody in the management team was like, that's great. But where was the other person on the management team going, well, no, we already gave them literally one of the most fun and addicting ways to travel around with the web swinging. Why don't we just put our time and effort into perfecting them? Adding more web tricks and maybe somehow uh, putting emphasis on swinging combat a little bit better. Like you can swing into combat like a little bit more effective. Like why don't we do that? Because web slinging's already fun.
Yeah.
So
No, I.
there has to be people that stand up and say no. There has to be people that stand up and say this is the definitive direction we are going. And as we'll just talk about later, I think a lot of these successful games over the last few years have had leaders that said this is what we are doing instead of meandering, because when you meander and you waste time, you're spending more money. Fucking Spider-Man 2 should not have cost $300 million to
No,
make.
no,
You
absolutely not.
already had the engine. You already like you just need to make improvements to it. You already had a fantastic gameplay. Um setup that just needed more refinements and like just more powers and stuff like that. Like it shouldn't have cost $300 million.
No, that's the bad thing about Spider-Man. Just considering, like, I understand maybe budgets can be a balloon if you're building from scratch, but this was the third iteration of this game. If you count Miles Morales, which I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't. So,
Yeah.
like, you have the most of the game was already kind of functionally there. I mean, half the map is just New York City again, the Manhattan Island. Only Queens and Brooklyn are new.
Yeah.
So you're already reusing assets. So what caused it to
Yeah.
happen?
Because if you think about it, the Spider-Man trilogy, or I mean, if you want to call it that, had a very very quick turnaround for games this size. Spider-Man came out in 2018. Miles Morales came out in 2020, a little over 2 years afterwards, and then Spider-Man 2 came out in 2023, again about 3 years afterwards. Like that's quick because a lot of the work was already done in the original Spider-Man. So again, at that point, is the money just meandering? Is the money just, hey, we're gonna pack this full of ideas, and they may or may not have anything good to do with the gameplay? Like, it's just to a point where everybody's trying to be bigger and better when in reality, and again, like we'll talk about later in this video, the reality is you just need to have a clear vision and execute that.
Mm-hmm.
Clair Obscur Expedition 33, I love it. One of the greatest games of all time. Is literally just an amalgamation of a bunch of different ideas. And that's fine because they executed it in a way that was new and inventful. Turn-based combat, fast-paced, turn-based combat with stylish menus. Well, that's Persona. Blocking shit, Dark Souls, Sekiro, Stellar Blade, all of them have that. Compelling story, Baldur's Gate. like nothing about Clair Obscur was unique, but it was focused. So it's a crisis. It straight up is a crisis that people need to come down. If I'm a upper management at a AAA game studio right now, I would be very very worried about my next couple projects, because I think what's going to happen is we are going to see a reversion. I think a lot of people are going to start cutting budgets and be like, we can't do this anymore. Industry analysts have said that the AAA games business is unsustainable for probably a decade plus now. Like, how much has GTA cost? GTA 6 cost? There's reports saying it's already cost like over $1 billion to make. $1 billion to make. What do you think happens if by the off chance, I'm not saying it will, but by the off chance it doesn't make that money back? What do you think is going to happen?
Oh, Take-Two's dead. That's I mean, I'm not too worried about it because of GTA 6. I mean,
Yes,
it shouldn't have taken that many years and this many and billions to make, but GTA 6 it could do it.
Yeah, I agree, but still.
Yeah, no, it's the fact that it shouldn't have, but not every game is GTA 6. Not every game is Spider-Man 2. Like Spider-Man 2 shouldn't have cost $200 million to make, but it's Spider-Man. It was gonna make that back fairly quickly. But those are massive IP, and that's why we also don't get a whole lot of new franchises from AAA's, because they have to bank on marketable franchises that people are already familiar with.
Yeah, I mean, like, how many people played South of Midnight?
I didn't. You did.
New franchise, fantastic music, great concepts, showcasing a really unique culture in the southern United States. Really, really great game. Gameplay needs more refinements. I hope it gets a sequel to do that. But like, overall, fantastic game. It will make my top 10 for the year. I thought it was so inventive and engrossing. Not very many people played it.
Same thing. I mean, it's another micro franchise. Like, I loved Outer Worlds 2, and it'll be in my top 10. But it misses sales of things, and now Obsidian has said that there will not be a 3. So I mean, same thing. These budgets are Spider-Man and GTA 6 are the exception to the rules. Most of these other franchises don't have the star power to make up for these budgets.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just sad because Outer Worlds 2, my time that I've spent with it has been pretty good. South of Midnight was great. I think you said that you're going to pick it up when it comes to PlayStation, and I,
Mhm.
knowing your gaming palette, I think that you're going to truly enjoy it. And it just sucks that these games don't get to do as well, or they have immense pressure put on them that they will never reach, and then there's consequences for that studio.
I mean, I remember back in, I mean, even 10 years ago, this problem with the freaking EA saying Dead Space 3 was a failure because it didn't sell 5 million copies. And it's like,
Yeah,
what were you expecting it to do?
yeah,
It's not Grand Theft Auto. It's not Call of Duty. It's not
it's a
Spider Man.
it's a niche sci-fi horror game. That's not for everybody.
No, you don't like playing horror games at all.
No. Like, I shouldn't be expected to buy one to save a studio. Like, it's just wild, man. I don't understand. I mean, I do understand, but I don't understand why publishers and even upper management at the dev studios are not stepping in and going, we gotta hold up here. Hold up here. We gotta let's take a step back and look at this and reflect on it. Cause like this is not good.
Well, I think it's a good segue to go into our next thing that's going because I feel like a lot of them are also not. They're looking for a savior in the wrong place because a
Yep.
lot of them are wanting. Some are turning away now, but a lot of them are wanting to return to AI. And 25 was a big year for people trying to and haul around AI. It does seem by the tail end of the year that a lot of studios are going, okay, there's a stench around this thing, and I don't want to touch it. But a lot of them were looking at it as a way to try and de-bloat their budgets, even though AI is actually really expensive, so it wouldn't.
Yep.
And it makes nothing but slop. Uh, but so but I think it just feeds back into the this mismanagement's pie in the sky mentality
Mhm.
of looking for a savior instead of just fixing the problem.
Yep. Um, Looking at a GameIndustry.biz article, 87% of developers are utilizing AI agents in their work, with 44% of those using the software to assist with asset or content optimization that adapts to end-game needs, and 38% using it for automated tutorials or in-game coaching and dynamic balancing and tuning of gameplay.
Those things of AI, like tuning gameplay, like it's AI in terms of like your NPCs, how they move around. Things like that's always been fine.
Yes.
Uh, I don't really have an issue with using it to code and stuff like that. That's all fine. My biggest issue with AI is generative AI. So I
Yeah.
don't really know how much of that poll was taking that into account of being the purely generative. Um, but because a lot of those things are, so there's a stench to it. I mean, the new there was a bit of a kerfuffle over possibly Clair Obscur using AI, but it really wasn't amount to anything.
Yeah.
Wasn't a big deal that they fiddled with it when it first came out, but his term wasn't for them. That's fine. I don't fault anyone for fiddling with it in 2022 when the stuff first came out.
Yeah.
But like Call of Duty Black Ops 7, that thing is infested with AI.
Yeah.
And Call of Duty's already been slop, and it just makes it feel even more like slop.
Yeah.
Um, and just it's obviously a recent thing because we're talking about 25, but recently GTA 6, uh, uh, publisher Take Two said in a call that no generative AI was used in the making of GTA 6, which is a good thing. Makes me I'm glad because I mean if they said yes it was, that would cause me to skip it. Uh, but it's a good thing. But it does tell me that it is a lot of studios are going, okay, there is a bad stench, or this is actually hurting us because one, people are not buying our games because of AI, and
Yes.
also it doesn't actually help your budget because these companies are trying to charge money to use this shit. AI is just not profitable whatsoever.
Yes.
It's a bubble that's gonna be nasty when it pops.
Yes.
Uh, but for a while, a lot of things were getting is getting shitified because, as I said a second ago, they were all looking to it as a savior.
Yep. And this draws this to an interesting discussion of like where is the acceptable line for AI, and that has to be dependent on the person. Because I'm in the same boat as you. Generative AI, Absolutely not. Like, you can use it to help you code to make that faster. You can use it to um write your emails and other bullshit like that. But like, under no circumstances should you be encouraging your art team to
No.
use it. Under no circumstances should you be using it to do anything with gameplay other than like programming your NPCs. Under no
More.
circumstances should you be using it to do any kind of voice acting.
Oh yeah. Nope. I was like we're things like DLSS, FSR, PSSR. Those things are fine too.
Yeah.
Like those doing things a human can't do.
Yes.
But art, like I mean, games are art. There's different degrees, and like, Call of Duty is not the high art, but like Color Obscura X23 is.
Yes.
But let's see with movies and TV shows and books, they all have those varying degrees. But to me, because all games, movies, books, these are all things you consider art. Art is in a sense, an expression of humanity.
Yes.
So how are you going to get that out of a machine?
You can't.
And
You just
you
can't.
can't. And that's the toxicity of generative AI is that
Yes.
it doesn't have a soul.
And yeah, and I think, unfortunately, I don't think there's enough consumer protections in place for the consumers to make decisions based on that. I know that Steam just put in a feature where if any AI was used in like the gameplay or some specific wording, the developer has to acknowledge that. So like, that's nice, but like, really feel like there needs to be more.
I mean, it would be great if the other 3 platforms, well, Epic too, I guess, but obviously Steam controls PC. With Nintendo, Sony, even Microsoft, even though they're kind of we'll get to them later. Them doing that for themselves too. I mean, I'm not surprised Valve did that because Valve's always been the most consumer friendly of the whole bunch. But
Yeah.
I'm glad they did that as well.
Yeah, I think the ESA needs to step up and be like, and collectively with the world, kind of like regulatory bodies around video games, really need to step up and say, hey, if you've got AI in your game, you need to disclose it. Like, it should be as part of like the ESRB rundown. AI was used in the development of this game, because consumers deserve to know. I think that I think the line in the sand has been drawn for game players very, very clearly. Do not use AI in your games. And I mean, even one of the biggest games of the year, Arc Raiders, they used AI in the generation of voice lines. And on the one hand, I understand where they're coming from. They're a smaller dev studio. They really didn't want to bring somebody in to say a line for every single item in the game. So like, from like a logical standpoint, like, I understand where you're coming from in that sense. But at the end of the day, you should just bring somebody in. Just
I
bring
mean,
somebody in, because then that voice line has emotion. You can, like, in Spider-Man, I hate to bring it up again, Peter Parker has different voice lines for when he's either standing still or exerting himself when he's web swinging. That means that they had Yuri Lowenthal and oh, what's his name? I think it starts with it's like Naj, who plays Miles. They had them in the booth recording every line twice to make the game just that more authentic. You're right. If Aunt May calls and Peter's swinging, he's going to sound different because he's exerting himself versus him just standing on a corner.
I mean, it's like in a lot of they're a small dev team, but being a home steel. I mean, granted, I'm not much into extraction shooters and stuff like that, and I guarantee, just with my taste, Arcs Raiders probably would have been something I would gotten into anyway. But them being AA voice is maybe go, I'm good. I didn't really want to try it anyway.
I was actually interested in trying it because it got a lot of praise for being very, very inclusive to like newer to the extraction shooter genre players. Because like, I have friends that play Escape from Tarkov, and I was like, oh no, that game looks sweaty as fuck. Hell no. But this Arc Raiders, when it was in the press cycle and stuff, looked actually really intriguing. It looked very beginner friendly. It had this really interesting message of like us versus them in terms of like the environment. Whereas like in Tarkov, it's literally you versus another person. Even though there's like third party mobs, it's really about you and the other person. So there's all these wholesome videos of players coming together. Like it looks very inviting
But yeah, one
in
of the
the
things I've heard they've
extraction
done
shooter.
is one of the things that I was impressed by that they did was they sense that the game kind of sense how you're trying to play the game, and so it'll put you into servers with like-minded people. So if everyone's trying to if everyone's trying to play a more PvP style, it'll put you in a server with people who want to play
Yeah.
more PvP style. If you're playing PvE, it'll put you there. Like, yeah, that I think it's a great idea, but
But then you have the AI, and it's like, I don't want to give you my time and my money
nope.
because you didn't put time and money into the game. You cut
Hmm.
a corner that, again, I understand why you did it. I understand the logic behind the whys, but you just shouldn't have done it in the first place.
No. And Ad hoc had my favorite quote of the year regarding AI. I don't
Yes.
I forget exactly how they phrased it. Let's see if
Ad
I can
hoc is
pull
the
it
dev
up.
studio behind Dispatch,
Hmm.
for anybody not in the know.
Let's see, what was their quote? Shit, I'm blanking because I can kind of
It was,
paraphrase, but I don't want to paraphrase.
yeah, yeah. Um, it was
Maybe AI. Their quote is maybe AI is a creative solution if you aren't a creative person.
exactly, like, exactly. Coming from
Like,
an extremely talented and creative dev studio that conquered traditionally a very hard medium to break into, which is superheroes. So creativity in full display, by Ad hoc. So yeah, no, and you and I have talked about that quote many times, and I 100% agree. Like
mhm.
it's
Dis
just,
dispatch Dispatch would have been a less. I mean, obviously, the type of game it is, but do you just using AI voices? It would have been an
oh my god,
inferior, lesser game. Yeah, but awful.
it would not have garnered the love and respect that it did when it launched. Absolutely not.
Mhm. Nope.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And you can feel when something's AI because again, it's lacking that human piece. You can feel it. You can feel it.
Like it's so strange because it's not something that's It's not something like tangible, like something you can hold in your hands. But yeah, as I said, you can feel it's missing a part of its soul.
Yeah. It's incredible to think about that you just know, like when you're watching an AI video, like they always have like the mess ups and stuff, but even in audio, like you can tell, you can just feel it that something is missing from it. And yeah, I just think that dev studios need to be extremely careful when messing around with this stuff. And if you can't, if you can avoid it, you should. 100%.
Mhm.
It doesn't make you creative. It does not improve your workflow. Um, it just doesn't benefit from it.
No, I mean, there's so many fantastic voice actors, and there's so many up and coming voice actors too. Like, yeah, it would have. I understand, the it could cost to pay something, and if you depending on what you get, it might cost a pretty penny. Because I'm sure, for Dispatch's case, getting Laura Bailey and getting Aaron
I
Paul
was about to say,
cost
getting
a
Aaron
pretty
Paul was probably the most expensive one.
yeah, pretty penny, but it was worth it. But even if you in your Arc Raiders case, like, okay, you can't afford to get these superstars, give someone their start.
Yeah, especially when all of the characters, quote unquote, in Arc Raiders are like you. So you can just literally grab anybody, any
Mhm.
emerging voice actor, and put them in there. It does it, and it's gonna make the game better as a result. Um,
I was gonna say, Jennifer English, the voice of Mael, who won Best Performance at the Game Awards this past
mhm,
year, uh, started her voice acting career as a chest, and I believe in a Divinity game.
mhm.
Someone, all your superstars start somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think on the complete opposite token as well, a lot of Hollywood stars are breaking into the video game industry, whether it's either acting and like are the face of a character or voice acting. Andy Serkis's performance in Claire Obscure was amazing. Aaron Paul's
Hmm.
performance in Dispatch was amazing. I mean, honestly, I think Dispatch would have been an incredibly different game if they did not have Aaron Paul. Like
Hmm.
Aaron Paul's like aloofness really makes Robert the character that he is. Um and so yeah, and if Renoir was not voiced by Andy Serkis, I don't know if he would be as like magnetic of a villain as he is. Like so there's the point being there's so many ways you can go with it with voice acting right now. It's literally the golden age of voice actors.
Hmm. Let's do changes because we're gassing up Expeditionary
Yeah, I
3
know,
and
yeah, I know.
Dispatch, and
Yeah,
we're not
that's
done gassing these two games up.
it's so
And this,
hard not to. It's
I
so
know.
hard not
We still have the
to.
rest of this podcast, and then our game of the year. If
Like
you can't tell what two games are gonna be near the top of our
like
list at this point.
so like I've never uninstalled Claire Obscure from my Steam Deck and my PC because I want to do another playthrough. And I was watching. This is a total tangent, but this like the power of good games that aren't made by AI. I was watching the Salt Factory's review of Cyberpunk 2077. He does very long form video essays. Shout out to Salt Factory. They're fucking fantastic videos. Go watch some. They're fantastic. But he's talking about Cyberpunk, and like I just fucking love Cyberpunk, and so I re-downloaded Cyberpunk to do another playthrough of Cyberpunk. Like I literally just love good games, and none of them have AI. So that's the message of this tangent. Stop having AI in your video games, because fucking Christ. I'm thinking about doing a male V playthrough so I can romance Pan Am. Just taking the hit on the general charismatic part of V, which is Sharon Lee's voice acting, so I can romance Pan Am. Like that's where I'm at right now.
Gotta do
Um,
what you gotta do.
exactly. So yeah, so I think that kind of wraps up the AI conversation. It's in video games. Luckily, there's lots of avenues that are being fought on the war against AI in terms of like entertainment. All the Writers Guild, the Voice Actors Guild, and the Screen Actors Guild have all striked and are trying to put protections in place to protect themselves from AI. And I truly believe there needs to be something on the video game front as well. Maybe some of these emerging unions can put it in their bylaws to not allow AI in the development of the game and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just not good. It's just not good. I think there's plenty of great applications for AI. I think it could be an incredible learning tool. I think it can be an incredible tool in terms of like translation and some other facets around the world. But for creative things, it's not okay.
No.
It never will be okay. It needs to stop, especially in video games, because that's what we
Yeah.
cover on this fucking channel 90% of the time. But
Well,
did you have a transition? I was going to transition, but if you have a transition,
I
I'll
would
let you.
say it was
I'll
like
let you handle it.
I would say the real kind of ball game of this whole thing with AI and layouts isn't just the economics of video games and everything like that. Has just uh been rough. I mean, that's kind of all we've been talking about the layoffs and stuff like that. It's just been a mess. I'm sure where you wanted to go with that.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the world's economy is wrapped up in AI right now, and that's leading to a lot of issues just with the economics of the world. We talked about budgets ballooning. We talked about AI, and so we're transitioning just into the greater economic conversation about video gaming. Because a lot of things fucking happened this year. Trump's tariffs really put a hit on hardware, and quite potentially software. I think I definitely think Nintendo used the tariffs as a reason to make Mario Kart World $80. Um, but um, but yeah, so hardware prices for Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft went up. I mean, I would honestly say these tariffs killed Xbox in terms of their hardware because nobody bought an Xbox. The Xbox got outsold on Black Friday by a Kinect clone. Like, what a world do we live in when that is the case? Um, the Switch 2's launch was affected by the tariffs. They literally, in the United States, pre-orders didn't start until a month later than the rest of the world because of the tariff situation. Um, you have EA being bought by the Saudis. You have Tencent, the major Chinese conglomerate, um, buying stock in Ubisoft. Yeah, Tencent, Ubisoft making this whole new like subdivision that all of their most important franchises are in, and Tencent's investing in that. So now Ubisoft has $1 billion in debt. It's all wild. It's all economic issues that are going to greatly impact the video game industry. Um,
I mean, it already is.
yeah,
We back with the AI stuff. I mean, it's causing RAM prices to spike. I mean,
yes,
PC gaming is just unobtainable at this point, and the consoles are typically those contracts for those things because I mean are bought well in advance and
yeah,
in bulk to make the parts. But that's gonna run out eventually.
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if this continues at the rate that it is, that the next generation of consoles actually ends up getting pushed back. I mean, this generation's been weird already. With it didn't have a delay start due to the pandemic, but it kind of felt like it. And I think at this point, the games are starting to finally utilize all of those generational shifts. Um, and so hopefully, I mean, I don't need a new fucking console right now. That's for damn sure. I mean, obviously the Switch 2, but like that needed a new console. But like in terms of like PS5 to the next PlayStation, like I think we're good.
That's fine.
Um, Sorry, PS5. I will play you someday. When
I mean, I
Wolverine
use
comes
my
out this year. When Wolverine comes out this year.
I mean, I use my
What?
PS5. I use my PS5 Pro every day, and it doesn't need it's fine. Like I was talking to someone about this earlier at work today because they're asking the PS, when do I think the PS6 will release? And I said with this AI stuff, it could be delayed to 28, 29,
Yeah.
which I think would be a smart idea for them, just because like the PS4 needed to go because it was underpowered out of the gate. The PS5 didn't have that issue.
Yeah.
It was pretty powerful for what it was back when it released. So it can keep going strong for a while. Um, and with this AI stuff, destroying RAM prices, who knows? And then there's the question I said earlier. And I'm already seeing cracks with the AI bubble. Starting. The foundation starting to break. And when that goes, um, yeah, rent prices may come down, but other things will go down with it, and that
Yeah.
should be going down. So it'll be harder for people to afford the new consoles.
Yeah.
So we're just in a really bad spot economically. It's going to affect the world and also because of the world of video games.
Yeah. Let's hone in on the two like big um mostly gaming related stories of EA being bought by the Saudis and Tencent investing in Ubisoft. Let's start with Ubisoft. I think that one is the less dubious one, ironically. Um Tencent, major Chinese conglomerate, literally has their feelers in everybody. They're invested in Nintendo. They're invested in Riot. They they got fingers in all the pies. But this has been their biggest move to date, basically setting up this second Ubisoft that like houses Assassin's Creed and Rainbow Six and Far Cry, and kind of leaving all the smaller franchises with Ubisoft proper, who is now just racked with debt. Um, the Guillemons are still in control of Ubisoft, for whatever reason. Um, and I I hate to say this, I really think that this is the beginning of the end for Ubisoft in a number of ways.
Yeah, no, the little, I guess, Ubisoft 2 that Tencent has control of will continue on, but the Ubisoft is not making it up $1 billion in debt with what they have left.
Yeah, and even I mean, spoiler alert for this year's stories, they've already started to canceling stuff. The Prince of Persia remake was lost to the sands of time, pun intended, for the last like 2 years. Everybody thought it was already canceled, but no, they literally came out and said, no, now we're canceling it, to the point where the voice actors that already done the work for it literally learned off of like Twitter posts and stuff like that. So, um, not not great look for Ubisoft. Looks like their economic situation is going to get even worse. Um, and then we shift to I think the worst story, EA being bought by the Saudis. We will remember you fondly, BioWare.
I mean, I mean, I'll strip. I mean, I trust Tencent way more than I trust Saudi Arabia. Like, I'd easily trust China more than I trust Saudi Arabia. Because I mean, Tencent's not great, obviously, but they, at least from what it seems like, when they get their tentacles into something, they still leave it just running as it is.
I think a better way to put it is they still want it to be successful, like
Yeah,
because they're making money.
yeah, which is there to go. They don't really have an ideological bent. They just want money.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. Well, the Saudis, they do want money. They also have an ideological bent. They want to push.
Yes.
And while if someone wants to boycott stuff that Saudis own, more power to you. I'm going to argue that it's almost getting impossible at this point because it's like, it means also like trying to boycott Tencent. They're getting their hands into everything.
Yeah.
But they're a lot more a problem, and also considering who Saudi is doing it with, um, they're teaming up with Jared Kushner,
Mm-hmm.
who is Trump's son-in-law. There ain't no good coming from that. I mean, he's the dumbass who put the freaking tariffs on the console, made a console go up in price too, beyond the myriad of other things this country's going through because of him.
Yeah, and let's look at the scope of this deal. So, it was for a fuck ton of money, and Saudi paid for most of it, but private investment firms are like a part of it for like 30 billion or something like that, and that's just debt. That's straight up just debt. And you have that's the money that EA now has to make back up, and the new Mass Effect game ain't gonna do that.
That's one thing I've never understood. Why when you buy stuff like that they have to be settled with debt? Like, why? How does that work? I don't. But our economic laws are backwards in the grand scheme of things, and it just doesn't make any sense. When we covered the story earlier, a few episodes back, a few months ago, I said the same thing. That's the end of EA. They can't survive that. There's nothing they have. The sports games are their best bet to try and make up that debt, but even then, they can't do that.
I think EA as a whole will survive, but all of their smaller fringe studios will collapse. But this is the end of BioWare. This is quite possibly the end of Respawn. This is quite possible. I mean, like, thank God Hazelight is independent and just kind of partners with EA, because otherwise they would be cut immediately.
The only ones making it through are all the EA Sports, because that's where the EA's most money is, and
DICE.
Probably DICE.
But that's only because Battlefield 6 was really, really good. If Battlefield 6 came out this year and got treated like Call of Duty Black Ops 7, I would have put DICE on the cutting floor as well. But they saved themselves, at least for now, with how good Battlefield 6 is. So, yeah, if you're Motive Studios is working on oh god, what are they working on? It's a superhero game, I'm pretty sure.
I think it's Captain America and Black Panther.
Yeah, Motive's gone.
Like, I mean, I just generally hope they can get Mass Effect 5 out before this whole thing goes through. At least we have a swan song for BioWare, but
yeah, but to play devil's advocate here, what form will that come in? Because I think one of the draws for BioWare's games has always been the inclusiveness of them. having representations for LGBTQ plus and more races and like just being overall more inclusive than your average bear. And Saudis hate all of that.
Oh
So
yeah, no, I mean, I 100% agree. I mean, I will say that. I mean, if that's I'm not too concerned about something being removed from Mass Effect 5 just because the game is far enough in development. I think we're just too late to do that. But if they succeed in taking it away, then I'm done. I don't care. I love
yeah,
Mass Effect, but that's not no.
it's not Mass Effect. It's not
No.
BioWare. So that's my concern. It's just now the creative integrity. You have somebody whose ideology will step in the way of creativity, and
Yep.
inclusiveness, and it's just not going to be great. It's just not going to be
I mean,
great.
it's happened with SNK to an extent as well. I mean, why the fuck is Cristiano Ronaldo in King of Fighters? Not King of Fighters, Fatal Fury. Yeah, King of Fighters would make a bit more sense because that's just a crossover game. Like Fatal Fury is a Pacific franchise. Why is he there?
Yeah, who knows? I don't think we'll ever know.
Mm-mm.
Um, but yeah, so we can transition away from bad economic news and we talk about some mid economic news. The state of Microsoft in the greater video game landscape really took a big swing this year.
Mhm.
Started the beginning of the year with some of our games are coming to other consoles, and now we're like, fuck it, all Halo's on PlayStation now.
Mhm.
Um,
Which we both
and
knew
they
was going to happen.
Yes. We all knew it was going to happen. Microsoft didn't want to admit it was going to happen. And then I'm sure Satya Nadella called Phil Spencer and said, push the button. And the button reads Halo on PS5. Um,
I mean, it's to the extent when our last episode we did our publisher tier list, and I think way we did it in 2024 we did publisher tier list is we kind of we talked about both of them being both as a first party and a third party studio. And we kind of put them in the in the middle ground between those 2 points. When I was sitting on, I was like, let's just treat them as a third party,
yeah.
and they're better for it actually in terms of
Yes.
that.
That's why this is mid news, is because they've they've stepped out of being the third place in the console wars and now have stepped to being the largest video game publisher, because they have their Microsoft stuff, they have Activision Blizzard and ZeniMax and Bethesda. Um, and so we're in this weird spot where this kinda is like a net gain, but also like this might be a net loss just because of the greater consolidation of things.
I mean, it's still. I mean, their issues are still not 100% fixed, despite them going third party with this. Because I mean, so earlier, Outer Worlds 2 didn't do that well, and they've already said now that Outer Worlds 3 is not happening, which is like it's so sad because Outer Worlds is so good. Both of them are really good games.
Yeah.
Obsidian, and like just the seeing Obsidian kind of fall apart like this because they're not having the because I mean, Outer Worlds 2 was not marketed at all. Um, and a lot of games just do not do well when they have to be fed into the Game Pass grinder. Um, so they still have a lot of issues, and honestly, there is a concern of they are the largest video game publisher. Are they still too large?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, because I mean, here's the thing. We've talked about this multiple times. Microsoft's really not good at advertising. And
no.
so now you have all of these games that you need to make space for. How do you do that?
I mean, I mean, also a big question is Call of Duty kind of advertised itself to an extent because it's Call of Duty, but like even Call of Duty's marketing is feel like it's fallen off since they took control of it. Because
Yeah.
when Sony was marketing it, even though it
Saw
wasn't a
it
franchise,
everywhere.
it was everywhere. But now it does kind of feel like I don't see it around that much,
I
which is
mean,
weird.
Going back to South of Midnight. South of Midnight released in April to fucking no kind of fanfare. Um, I think Outer Worlds was very much the same. Really didn't get any advertising leading up to the launch. Hellblade 2 really didn't get any advertising leading up to the launch. Even something like the Gears of War 1 remake that released in August. Gears is one of your seminal franchises for Xbox. It's coming to PlayStation for the first time. It's releasing on PC as well. You'd think you'd be advertising the fuck out of it.
I mean, even Halo. I mean, I don't know when Halo's coming, but even Halo's been kind of quiet since they announced it.
Mm-hmm.
which
Well,
is
that's because
weird.
I think that's because the fucking nobody was impressed by it.
That could be, but even still, it's like it's Halo.
Yeah,
That's your crown jewel.
yeah. So I personally I agree with you. I think they're too big. I think they bit off more than they can chew because you now have all of these mouths to feed, and they can't all be fed.
I
Like you're
mean,
right,
a
something
lot.
like Call of Duty does kind of advertise itself. You put out a couple TV spots, a couple ads on YouTube, you're pretty much good. But like Outer Worlds needed advertising, South of Midnight needed advertising. Um, there's smaller projects like with what's coming out of Double Fine needs advertised. Like they're
It's just
I
there's
think
too many stuff because you have all of Activision, which I mean they were a publisher unto themselves, and you have Bethesda, who was a publisher unto themselves, and then you had all the Microsoft's other studios. So
yeah,
you're functionally three publishers in one, and
the world of indies and double A's are just exploding. And I think this year will go down in remembrance of that. I mean, you look at the Game Awards, 6 games up for nomination, and 4 of them are double A and indies.
half of them were just indies. I mean, you had Clair Obscur,
Oh, I'm sorry. 3 of them were double A and indies because Donkey Kong, Ghost Yote, and Death Stranding 2 were.
Destiny 2, and not Ghost Yote, but Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
So
Hades
3,
2, Silk Song, and Xperia 3.
yeah, and
But you could go ahead.
I was gonna say Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 does not come from a very big studio. I wouldn't count as double A, but like they're not a very big studio.
No, but like honestly, you could have split Fiction there as well,
Mm-hmm. Which published
like
by EA,
Blueprints.
but Hazelight is a double A studio.
Mm-hmm. Blueprints,
Mm-hmm. Indie studio.
Dispatch. These were not nominated, but they could have been.
Yes.
So
It's just the year of the double A in the indie studio in indie games. I mean, we could sit here and freaking Clay's Hades and Clair Obscur and Silk Song and Dispatch literally all night.
We'll be doing that next episode.
Yes.
We'll be doing
Yes,
that. I
we will.
guarantee that.
We will, but I said this before on the channel, and I think, and I'll say it again, the difference is just passion. And I'm not saying the devs at AAA game studios don't have passion, because they do. But like, you can't tell me that every manager and every CEO has passion for this industry.
No.
But I can damn well promise that all 35 members of Sandfall Interactive have passion for this industry. I can tell you that everybody at Supergiant Games has a deep love and passion for this industry. Team Cherry, 3 people, guaranteed they love video games. Like, it's in becoming the world's biggest entertainment avenue. I think that the business became more important than the passion.
It did.
And so that's the course correction that these indies and double A's are making. Is like, no, we're putting the passion back in video games. We don't have all the money in the world, but we don't need all the money in the world. And that's very reminiscent of video games' start. Like Shigeru Miyamoto, when he revived the video game industry, it was because he believed in video games. He believed in them as an art form, as a way to have some fun. He believed in them. And so Nintendo's actions throughout the 80s was making sure that the video game crash would never happen again. And that got him into a lot of hot water, but they succeeded. And so over the last 20 years past that, I think video games grew and grew and grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. And then people saw how much money was up for grabs. And so these outsiders that just wanted to make money got involved. And then that's when the passion kind of got put on the back burner. And now these indies and these triple double A's are putting that passion back in and seeing amazing results. Every time Joseph Fares from Hazelight gets up and talks about one of his games, I'm always moved because I mean he is the embodiment of passion for his games. Like I truly believe that he could sit down and talk about Split Fiction for days because he just
Mhm.
loves he loves the game that he made. He loves the work that he put into it. And that kind of passion is hypnotic, and it's contagious. And we talked earlier in the show about AI. You can just feel like it has no soul, but when these double A's and triple and indie studios talk about their games, you feel like they have more soul.
Mhm.
um and that's what's so intriguing by it. you know Stardew Valley, one of the most praised indie games of all time, literally was made by one guy, and he poured his blood, sweat, tears, all of the money that he had into making the game, and it was returned to him not because people not because they wanted to give him money or anything. They returned it to him because they wanted to take part in his passion, and that was worth the $15 that Stardew Valley cost.
Mhm.
Um, and it's just an incredible place to be in the double A and indie space because there's just so much passion, so much love, so much work being put in to make these games truly fantastic.
Mhm. I couldn't say better myself. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, so that story's repeated with Blueprints, Balatro.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, yeah, those stories,
Skate Story.
they, hmm those things keep repeating. I mean, the the Sandfall devs, they wanted to do, they kind of want to make that game for Ubisoft, and Ubisoft didn't believe in them, so they made Sandfall.
Yeah.
But Ubisoft's kicking themselves now.
Uh, I mean, amongst other things happening to Ubisoft, yes. Um, yeah. I mean,
Ad hoc,
that's the best story of 2025 was just the unbridled
Mhm.
passion of these indies and double A studios.
Ad hoc thought that when they released Dispatch, they wouldn't survive basically the release of it, and they would have to close as soon as the game was done releasing. And
Nope.
they're doing better than ever now.
Hmm. I think Dispatch sales somewhere over 2 million right now.
They've hit their sales target. They hit their 3-year sale target.
Yeah. Um, Expedition 33 is approaching 6 million, I believe.
Hmm.
Absolutely blew theirs out of the water. I think it's all Blueprints had sold like 1 million or something like that, somewhere in there. And I think the same for Hades 2. Like, doesn't get better than that.
Mm.
I mean, even though it was published by Microsoft, Cuphead was made by an indie, two person indie team, and both of those people put 2 mortgages on their house to pay and develop Cuphead, and then Indie Darling. It's just the amount of effort and the amount of sacrifice that these indies and double A's make for their passion. It's just incredible, and it flies in the face of everything that is AAA gaming.
Oh yeah, no, 100% agree. I mean, what? Uh, I don't want to cut this short, but I mean, it's kind of like I know we're gonna be glazing more of these
Yes,
delays in indies next month, so we don't want to. I don't want to say too much without going into next week's content.
yes, but the moral of the story is there's a lot of shit in 2025, from
Hmm.
layoffs to the economic situation in the world to the social situation around the world. But there was some good. I think Microsoft becoming a third party publisher is a net good. I think that the Switch 2 is obviously a net good, like obviously, but the rise and the spotlight being placed on these indie and double A studios are the biggest win of 2025, and I
Hmm.
sincerely hope that it continues into 2026.
There's already a couple of indie games I have my eye on. Just mine's a little tight, but you sent me one. I'm like, oh, that just seems kind of cool. I want to check that
Oh,
out.
Escape from Ever After.
Yep,
It's a Paper Mario clone that is a brutal takedown of capitalism.
sounds up my alley.
Yeah. Um, and a lot of these smaller experiences from big studios, I think, also deserve a lot of spotlight. Dragon Quest VII just came out today, and I bought it. I'm excited to play it. Like that's not gonna do gangbusters for Square, but I'm glad that it's here. You know,
Mhm.
so I hope that studios lean more into those options as well. Um, because not everything has to be a AAA game anymore.
No,
Smaller, very focused experiences can be just as good and sell just as well and cost a lot less
sometimes
money.
the sometimes they're just better than the ones that are than those.
Yeah. But I think that is gonna the perfect way to end our 2025 news review, look back in the rear view mirror, whatever you want to call it. These ones are I think of the 3 year recaps that we do. This one's always the hardest because we have to come back into focus of like the terrible stuff that happened.
True, but we can get the good stuff in the focus too. So
Yeah,
it is the most. I would say one of the most interesting of the three
yeah,
we do.
yeah. But with that, we move on to our favorite video of the year, the game of the year video.
Let's gas up some more indie games next episode.
Yeah, I think
We're gonna.
I think of my 10, I want to say that probably I'm still finalizing my list, but I think like 5 or 6 of them are AA/indies. I'm
Yep,
pretty sure,
I'm in the
if
same
not
boat.
more than that.
At least half are double A indie
Yeah.
games. Mine's locked in. Mine's ready to go. But
I'm
it's about
still
half.
adjusting things. I never finalize my list until we're literally turning on the cameras because I'm just like, because I always catch myself like,
I
oh,
mean,
this
I'll say
this
this
was
much.
really good. I remember this moment from this game. That's really good. So we'll put it a tier higher. And then I'm like, oh no, it doesn't deserve that.
I'll say this much. Like number one for me was it's kind of an easy win. But 2, 3, 4 are in lock. 5 through 9 for me are like the razor
Yeah,
thin much. I have them where I want them, but like god damn, it was difficult getting those. Like they're all just like the most like
yeah. My
5 could have been 9.
my top 4 is locked in, but everything past that, I'm just like, oh, but this moment was really good. Oh, but this moment was really good. Like, oh man, this was really good. Um, so it's always tough sell. It's always a tough sell. It's not locked in until it's the camera's on, and I have to say my number 10 is this, and then it locks it in.
I don't have that issue this year. My guess that's year I was like, oh my god, what the
I
fuck am
didn't
I doing?
decide. I didn't decide Infinite Wealth was my game of the year until the
Really?
video. Yeah,
Really?
because I because
Wow, that
because
surprises me.
Metaphor and Infinite Wealth were just so good.
That's fair. I mean, I get it. I it kind of felt to me like Infinite Wealth was like, you kind of had Infinite Wealth. And I felt like Infinite Wealth was gonna be your game of the year. I thought
Yeah.
there was an off chance Metaphor could take it, uh, but I don't know. But I think this year our game of the years are like, no,
Oh
we know
yeah.
who they
Like I
are.
said, 1 through 4 is locked in, ironclad. They're not moving. That is what it is. But everything beyond that, I'm just like, oh man, this was really good though. So but
I look forward to that.
look forward to that. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss it. Because it's a video that we like doing. I think it's one of our best videos that we do every year. So definitely subscribe so you don't miss it. Um, eh, Share the video with your friends. All that kind of good stuff. Be ready with your Steam or eShop wish lists for our game of the year video, so you can get some of these games on your radar because there's definitely some on mine that did not get the attention that it deserved. So be ready for that, and we'll see you in the next video.
Adios.